context for this is a doula group a meeting that we went to that was hosted by a prenatal or perinatal psychologist that was exploring people exploring their own birth stories as specifically for birth workers and how that affects their practice, and reflecting on that as they get into this work for new birth workers. You are the guardian of all I was and will be, from my mother's last journal entry in 2003. The first moments of life outside the womb are some of our most sensitive, vulnerable, and memorable. They mark the beginning of individuated life experienced with deep and raw intensity. Our births may be remembered with enthusiasm or cut through with pain, yet each and every one tells a story of transformation, strength, and deep courage. Reconnecting with our own birth can function as a way to reconnect with the core of ourselves, a way to shed new light on the labor of those who give birth, and to better understand the multiplicity of environments into which each person is born. Birth stories inspire, anger, make us weep, and call us to action. The following piece was written after a gathering in which we were asked to share the story of our own birth and explore how this informs our practice as birth workers. So it opened up. Explore any reoccurring images you have. Reflect on your approach and attitude to transitions, and begin to reconstruct your own birth experience as you remember it best. We are gathered on the floor of the living room to hear our speaker, a therapist who focuses on the importance of re-engaging our own birth story. The speaker asks us to form a circle, puts on some music, and passes around big pieces of paper and colorful pens. I choose a purple one. I catch myself doodling on the side of the page, small interconnecting loops that slowly get bigger and bigger until they fill the whole page. This is a reoccurring behavior of mine. I try to focus back on her prompt. Everyone else seems to be writing furiously. My first thought is apprehensive confusion. Who can possibly remember their own birth? Yet after sitting and thinking for a while, stories to me told by my parents starts to resurface. These are mostly little anecdotes about who was there, the time of day, the atmosphere. All start to piece together an imaginary of what it might have been like. My page starts to fill. I begin to recite some facts. Born 2:22 p.m., September 18th, 1989. How heavy? Don't know. How long? Again, don't know. I look around and see furrowed brows and more than a few blank pages. Perhaps everyone isn't finding it as easy as I thought. The speaker encourages us to ask our mothers for more details about our own births. I feel my heart ache. I know this would come up, and in fact it's partly why I'm here, but I wasn't prepared for this immediate surge of grief. My mother died when I was 13, something I experienced as a deep and painful shattering of my life. I feel hot tears on my face. Maybe it's because I feel so passionate about birth and know it's the work she also did. Maybe it's because I know this kind of conversation ultimately remains closed to me. I'm still searching for answers. I long to ask her what she was thinking, feeling, and experiencing as her body contracted and opened to bring me to life. I don't know any of the people here well, but I don't feel embarrassed as I let my body feel its grief. The speaker reaches over to me. What do you need, she asks. She doesn't tell me it's okay or to take a minute outside. She just lets me cry. Tenderly, she guides me to the floor and asks Tanya to rest her hands on my back. Birth is a kind of dying, and dying a kind of birth. These transitions are in many ways the same. I feel Tanya's hands on my back like a grounding weight. It feels very nourishing. Dying is a kind of birth. Discovering, or perhaps rediscovering birth, has begun to function as a way for me to remember my mother. This in the sense of piecing together an imagined sense of what our adult relationship would or could have looked like. I've been reconstructing this relationship through gathering stories and retracing our collective steps. Earlier this year, I even sat in the room where I was born. From here, I dreamed of my birth. I was born at home, in a room that held many stories of transition, stories of beginnings and endings, of birth and death. My brother was born in the same room as I was, and my grandmother passed in this room 2 weeks after I was born. I think my mother was incredibly tapped into the power and energy of these profound transitions. As a mother with a terminal illness and as a midwife, she taught me to honor and never to fear the great power inherent in birthing and dying bodies. These lessons continually infuse and guide my practice as a doula and birth activist, and as a guardian of transitions in my own right. Our birth stories are, in a sense, never really finished. They expand and contract through time, ever deepening our connection to our mothers and to those who produce and reproduce the world to give birth to us anew each day.